Welcome back. The United States of America versus Julito is a book that explores the intricate dynamics of Julito's world, where family ties and lifelong friendships are intertwined with the business of drug trafficking. The book also teaches a stark warning of what might become of children if parents neglect them, leaving them adrift in a sea of trauma, loneliness, and hurt caused by a world of negative influences. Author Angel Diaz joins me now. Angel, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, can you tell us a little bit more about just the inspiration, behind the book and how this all started for you?
All right, my book all started like I grew up around this area, Kingsbridge area. This is my area. I was born and raised in this area. Um, growing up as minority, being in the hood, like they say. I grew up there, moms and pops. I grew up poverty. So as my life developed and went on, I wind up to get involved with the streets. So as I got involved with the streets, and I wind up catching a federal sentence of 120 months. So when I got to sit down there and really reflect on myself and, like, what could I do to make stuff better, I just started to put this book together. I started to write the book, but I was writing like a regular novel book. Then I just started writing it basically. It was easier doing it on myself, everything that I lived on, everything that I've been through. So basically prison was what like showed me like this is what I want to do. I made a plan when I come home, this is what I'm gonna get on. So this is how I started the book. And I always gotta thank my nephew, because he always encouraged me. Adam, HD Sanchez, always encouraged me, do this book, you got a good story to tell. You from this area, you got a good story to tell. So I went with him, and this is how I started to get on this book.
That's amazing. And I want to say congratulations because creating a book is not easy,
Yeah.
Especially when it's a book about your life because
Yeah.
in ways sometimes you have to relive
It
certain
deals
moments.
with emotions, you
Right.
relive, like a lot of things that you don't want to relive, but I think by just saying the stuff could help youth, other people. So this is why I'm doing this whole project that I'm doing right now with this book, United States of America versus Julito.
Now, how did you approach writing about such personal and intense experiences? I know that could not have been easy. So, what was your thought process
I
behind
really
that?
got to do this like growing up, as you can see, I didn't cooperate with the government. So I had to hold my feelings. I took my time like a man, I did mines. I took my time like a man. But what made me be able to mission to find myself was when I was being in prison, I was in called SHU. That's called solitary confinement. It's called special housing unit, but it's solitary confinement. It's when you get in trouble, it's a disciplinary that they put you in somewhere and you in there locked in 23 on 1 for your disciplinary behavior that you did in prison. So by me being in there by myself, I found myself. I got to reflect on myself. I got to mature myself. And I got to learn feelings, family, love, friends, like, a lot of things that you being by yourself that you learn. Because when I'm by myself, the letter that comes through the door is a friend. That's who you know who's a friend. Somebody that took the time to write that letter, to send it to you so it could get to prison. So when the mail comes, that makes you happy. So I found that. I found love as my family, support, been there for me, this, that. And then the other thing I really wanted to do was, like the minority, Spanish, African American, us, like what we go through. So I'm like, if I can say my story, maybe I can help. If it's 15 kids, maybe 5 or 8, I can help. It's doing a difference. So this is what I'm on my project. My book is basically on that, like my life growing up and stuff like that. That's how I was able to write this book, by being in there, because I had all this time by myself. So this is how I got on it.
Now, yeah, you definitely talk about the time that you had it by yourself and it made you kind of think about the relationships you had with people. Can you talk about the importance of, having those friends and having those families
Yeah,
during a
because
difficult time?
I learned, like, when you outside and you're in the street and you're in this life, you have a whole bunch of friends. Everybody's your friend because of what you got. But when you get in a situation like I was in, that I was incarcerated, I was in prison, I'm in a box, solitary confinement, that's when I got to find out who was my real friends, who's the people that love me, because they're the ones that show me the support. When I'm in the street, everybody shows me support because I got everything everybody wants. Now I'm in there, out of sight, out of mind. Everybody forgets about you, but just the ones that love you and your family and the support.
Now, I want to take a moment to talk about music, just in general. How has music, inspired you or play a role in your life?
Music has played a big part of my life, like as the reggaeton world. Like I got good friends. Daddy Yankee's a good friend of mine. Nicky Yang, De La Ghetto, Zion. I know a lot of good artists that are right now top artists that are real good friends of mine, good relationships. And I got into that, like being young. I had a friend of mine, like that raised me. He was a little older than me, you know. Rest in peace. Like a big brother of mine that raised me came from Puerto Rico. When he came from Puerto Rico, he brought all these artists. As me being young, I was raised around them. We in the street, we getting money. These artists around us, we helping them. And as the years came to come, these same artists are the ones that are the biggest names in the reggaeton industry right now. Like rest in peace, my good friend of mine, Flo La Movie. He passed away coming from DR
Sorry.
with his family to Miami. He passed away, his kids, everything. Rest in peace, God bless, shout out. But these are people that inspired me, that helped me. And while I was outside, these are people that I got along with them. They was good to me. So when I came home, these are the same relationships now that I have, and these are the same people that are here helping me, and to do this project that I'm doing now.
Now, I definitely want to discuss, as you mentioned, you had time to think and kind of transform your life. How do you now stay loyal to your principles?
Because I already know what I've been through. I already know the consequences, and we ain't going back to what we used to do.
Now, with that being said, you talked about how, during that time in your life, you had a lot of friends or people that you may have saw as friends at one point. How do you cope with kind of dealing with that, maybe realizing these people were not really trustworthy or were loyal or were true friends?
I mean, you live and you learn. That's what I got from all this. You live and you learn. Like they say, everything that shines ain't gold. So I learned that. And like now being a little older, I learned that, who's true friends and who's not true friends. But now I'm being a little older and living everything I lived through, I can distinguish. And I know true friends and people that are, and just so people can learn from this too, that you'll have a lot of people around you when you're doing whatever you're doing. But when things hit the fan or it gets messed up, out of sight, out of mind. And that's what I learned during my prison time. I did 120 months
Wow. Now,
sentence.
how has this entire experience, kind of shaped your future and, what you want to see in your future?
It shaped my future a lot because as growing up, my childhood, like I was outside very young. So I've been through a lot, seen a lot of stuff as a young kid that I felt that being my age, a kid shouldn't be able to go through that, So these were things that like I've seen coming up, and it like make a change in me because now it's different because now I have a son and I have a little son, so I don't want them to go through what I'm going through. But then I remember the loopholes that my parents couldn't provide, not they couldn't provide because we came from poverty, My mom was a mom that raised 6 of us. We lived right here. I was raised on Kingsbridge right here on Creston, 193rd by St. James Park all my life. I played in this park all my life. I went to PS 86 right here. So this is like my area, but my mom was a single mom. My pops was in and out of prison, trying to, take care of us the way he could. So my mom is alone, holding us down. And, these are things that I've seen, and I don't want to have my kid or any other youth that's listening to my story, hear my story go through, because these are the times of your life, like, for a man, I feel, like being from a 12, a 13 to a 16, those are real big parts of your life, because this is like when you're gonna finish high school, you make your decision, this is where you wanna go bad, you wanna go good, so these are the areas where we need to 12, 16, those are the areas that boys really, because we're curious, we wanna do this, we watching TV, we seeing rappers, we seeing all the attention that is bringing, so this is what boys, men like to go to.
Now, what advice would you give to parents of, boys in that age group who may be struggling, who may not have all the resources? What advice would you give them?
I mean, advice that I would give to moms is always good to have support. It's always good to give your child support. Always be there for him. Talk to him. understand him. You know, when he's a boy, he's gonna do things that he might not tell his mom or tell his dad because he feels, you know, he's a man. It's supposed to be the man part. But I just say, like, you know, with boys, even with girls, with anybody, kids, you just need to pay a lot of attention, support them, understand them. You know, the era's different from 70s to 90s now. In 2000 era, everybody's growing up a little different. So if you're a mom that you from a 70s and now it's a 90s, you think that's wrong. It's not. You just gotta, you know, adjust, and everybody's gonna learn.
Now, I definitely want to touch on the fact that your story has been acknowledged, and it was portrayed in NYPD Green, and the Netflix series El Ganador. How does it feel to know that your case has been receiving such, wide impact on so
Man,
many people?
right now it's like a real blessing from God. Like, this is all a blessing, everything that's happening to me. You know, right now I'm right here talking, I've been in a cell by myself thinking, like, would this ever come? Would this ever happen for me? But I guess with the grace of God and the blessings, everything is coming. You know, like you said, like being in the Netflix, that Nikki Yang, you know, that was based on us. Nikki Yang was a friend of ours. You know, being around these big superstar reggaeton guys as friends, you know, is a real big pleasure, good things like that. And this is just like something that to me is just new for me. Like,
Right.
being from what I went through and growing up and being here, doing interviews. I did already a couple shows. I did already Dog in the Yard. You know, I got another book coming out soon. It's coming out. It's called 2600. That's my building where I was raised at. So I got another book coming out. I got my book right now. I'm trying to get a series on it. So just stuff like that.
That's amazing. And, I also want to add that what's so inspirational and amazing about your story is that regardless of what your past is, your future is so much brighter, and there's just so much left for you right now. So, with that being said, I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing
I
your
want to thank you so
story and,
much too for
telling.
having me here. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all so much. It's an honor to be here with y'all, especially
Yes.
in the Bronx. Like, this is where I'm from. I'm a Bronx native.
Right.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If you're interested in reading The United States of America versus Julito, please go online and search the title to find where the book is available. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more open right after this.